Soyaha, Galacin, Yuji-ha kino, Yuji-ha is away to Tole, Gakal is away, Yondale going to no kino, Galacin. My name is Richard Ray Whitman. I'm a Yuchi tribal member enrolled under the Muscogee Nation, Creek Nation, Indian Territory, now called Oklahoma Sooners State. But anyway, we're here today it's for some expression here, our one person, one man's take view. But I remember my early teachings in this language. My grandmother, I was reared in, it was only second or third grade that I began to read these reader books, elementary readers, Father, Mother, Dick, Sally, Spot Puff, The Nuclear Family. But then when I returned home, I lived in a non-nuclear family. So it was a model that the ideal family, patriarchal family, was a model on that I didn't come from. And at the time I didn't see the conflict, but as I grew older I became more aware of the disparity of, we were poor, but as the saying goes, when you're young you're poor and don't know it. But when I became older I became very aware of surrounding non-Indians living on stolen land, our land. And so I was certainly sensitized, consciously or unconsciously, about the inadequacies or the unfairness of treaty, broken treaty, stolen land, and resources. We are the host people of this country, indigenous people, and in this state. Yet we remain invisible. Our treaties are considered artifacts. Our treaties are considered by the federal legislature, the federal politics of the day, as something they have to go back and research, that is no longer valid today. Well, in that sense, we as indigenous host people, we are the unwanted reminders to the conscious of this country, our lack of conscious in this country, to broken treaties. Yet we know this country enters treaties as of recent. We enter in treaties as binding, as worldwide. The United States enters treaties. But in its own backyard, it ignores treaties as something from the past, a leftover artifact. So with that basis, and always the reminder that indigenous people are the host people of this continent, in this hemisphere. And I mean indigenous from Central and South America, indigenous populations. The whole Western Hemisphere is indigenous populated. And the pipeline, well, I was in Montana last summer at this time, last August, and I had a chance to view some maps on a couple of the reservations in northern Montana, and I know that the origins of this Keystone, it's near those nations, it's on the nations there, the indigenous nations in Alberta. Those who live there, or from there, whose whole creation is from there, from that site. So once again, homelands, indigenous territories are being declared national disaster areas in the interest of big oil, in the interest of keeping this country sufficient in its use or need for gas and oil. So once again, our people are asked to sacrifice our land, our natural resources for the good of America or the good of Canada, to keep this country afloat or keep this country's destiny with oil and gas use. So, you know, it's one after a national sacrifice area. What is the impact of that? Most of the average Americans, white America, we're so removed from that. We don't realize it. Because we don't breathe it, we don't smell it, we don't feel it. It's away from us. But we're directly responsible for the use of it, for the need for it, for the addiction to it. It's so humiliating for this country, again, to ask First Nations, indigenous peoples, to make another sacrifice. Their homelands, their areas, their natural resources, to be declared a national disaster area. And when you see those huge scale impacts on the earth, and once again we'll see if our people, a handful of people and supporters, can stand up to big corporate America. And our people have. Today we're the result of that, of our people's struggle of resistance. That's why I'm here today. It's a result of my ancestors standing up saying, it's good to be who we are, but there's a responsibility that comes with that. And our responsibility, among a number of things, is to be caretakers. And that's not a romantic notion. It's not some romanticized version of child of nature. But I'm saying that our survival is directly related to the earth's wellness. And I would say to non-Indians, you know, you need to sacrifice some. You need to give some of that up. Some of your, I would say comfort, but your entitlement. Your average white American thinks they're totally entitled to all this. Electricity, gas, water, at the expense of the earth. And another thing that's been maintained in the natural, in the language, in the ceremonies, is the earth is a living entity. That's the great divide between European Western civilization. And some of their dictates from their Bible religion tells them they have domain over nature. But within our teachings, within our value system, it's still the earth is its own natural, alive entity. We are not merely standing on the earth is holding us up. Our life's breath is directly related to this earth's well-being. And that's no romantic notion. It's nature. And the nature laws, nature has its own laws. And we'll see if man's man-made laws will hold up. Because nature can say, and showing us now with these heat waves, all these weather patterns that we're experiencing, that's boggling scientists. Nature has its own way. And if it chooses to evict us, it's of our own doing for not failing to be responsible.